more times do we have to talk about, our thoughts and prayers go out to these folks, families. These are human beings. These are people just like you and me. And it's time to, honor these folks and these families by taking action. So we just can't keep having these discussions.
What actions would you take if you were elected governor of Virginia?
Mark, it starts with leadership, and it starts with sitting down at the table with people that are coming from various backgrounds and trying to find some things that we can agree on.
Mm-hmm.
Agreeing on things like this and all the other ones we've seen have been horrific tragedies. Agreeing that we have a problem in a challenge in this country with gun proliferation. Unless we can agree on, maybe just even talk about is responsible gun ownership, but find something that we can agree on, and then taking the dialogue from there. But what happens, as is when the topic of guns are mentioned, this wall comes down, and it's people say, well, you're going to take our guns away, and no, it's not about that. It's not about interfering with your Second Amendment rights, but it's talking about how we can, as a society, as Americans, as Virginians, let's talk about this and find ways that we can agree to make this safer. Because, as I said, and sometimes, Mark, unfortunately, it makes it a slap in the face to someone. It has to be a family member, something that hits close to home in a lot of these different topics. When people will finally come to the table, but we just, again, it's going to take leadership to bring people together. And I have said all along, and obviously we need to look at the facts that happened. This, what caused this, what led up to this, but it's going to be probably some of the same story. But I've said all along that that I have a unique perspective on this. I served in the United States Army. I took care of individuals that were on the receiving end of assault weapons. We do not need assault weapons in our society, on our streets. I have taken care of children, unfortunately, that pick up loaded firearms on the bedside table and either shoot themselves or their siblings. I have taken care of young women that had been the result of domestic violence when they were involved. So I've seen too much. I've seen things that are horrific, and I'm ready to sit down and anybody that's willing to come to the table, I'll sit down there and have the discussion, figure out ways that we can move forward.
And for those you don't know, when the lieutenant governor says he's seen these things, it is because he is a physician. So he's well aware of that, which he speaks. So obviously, this is something that you are. I believe you when you say you're tired of seeing it. But it seems to me, first of all, Lieutenant Governor, part of the problem is our short attention span and the media cycle.
Yes.
Because now I'm realizing this morning, this is day 275 of 2017. We've had 272 mass shootings in this year already, over 11,500 gun deaths, 23,000 injuries, 2,971 kids, teens shot. And we never think of it that way. We'll see Vegas, and in 48 hours from now, unfortunately, as a society, we move on to something else.
Well, Mark, some people do move on, but this is a lesson, I think, why these elections have tremendous consequences, and we need people that are like-minded that will sit down at the table and say, we've got a tremendous challenge, and let's do something about it. And so we have a chance to do that on November the 7th, not only for this statewide ticket, but also House of Delegate races across the Commonwealth of Virginia. And, in order to, sometimes I tell people, Mark, I'm willing to sit down with anybody and, try to reason and use logic. But sometimes you can't change people's minds. And when we can't change people's minds, it's up to us to change their seats. And that's what we can do. That's the power that we have on election day.
Well, maybe you're the one to do it. Coming from Virginia, where we know, people have guns, love their guns, and I'm not, faulting anybody for that. You said you're a former member of the military too, right?
Yes, I
You're a
am. I
veteran.
served in the Army for 8 years. I served during Desert Storm.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody who and you, I'm sure you respect gun rights as much as you respect gun control and safety. It seems to me that if there's anybody, especially coming out of Virginia, who would have a shot um, at talking to the other side and trying to reach some agreement across both sides, it would be you. I'm putting that. I'm putting that
I
awesome.
will.
I'm putting that
I
awesome
do.
responsibility on you, man.
No, that's why. That's why I stepped up to the plate, Mark.
Yeah.
And I do have one. I have the experience, and I do have the relationships. But let me just make a point about leadership. And you know, we had a horrific tragedy in Charlottesville about 6 weeks ago,
Sure
where white supremacists marched into a beautiful town, spewing hate and bigotry with their torches and semi-automatic weapons. And you know what? Leadership is about someone standing up and saying, we don't condone this. We don't condone hatred and bigotry, calling them for what they were and telling them to go back to where they came from and don't come back. And that's what the president should have done. Rather, though, he stands there and says that there's two sides. He calls these people fine people. You know, that's why these elections matter. We need to put people in leadership positions. And I give our governor and our attorney general, and I was right there with them, to police folks for who they are.
Yeah.
And then, you know, with all the racial tensions we have in this country right now, this is a time for healing, Mark. It's a time for reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we have a president that calls fellow Americans SOBs. How much longer do we as Americans need to sit back and accept this as the normal? We can't. We need to show leadership and say, this is not what this country is about. This is not what Virginia is about. We need to go in a different direction.
Not only does he call people SOBs, he calls the mayor of San Juan a nasty woman.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
While people, here's the problem, Mark. While people are suffering, while they're dying, they don't have access to health care, food, water. And the problem, and I don't want to go into his medical issues, but our president has no empathy. And when leaders have no empathy, we're in a dangerous position.
Yeah. We're not that far apart in age. You're only about 8 years older than me. You know, about
we're both young men.
Yeah, right. But you know, I talk about Lieutenant Governor. What can you imagine? What, I don't know if your parents are still with you. Mine are gone, but and my grandparents. What, I can't even imagine how they would have reacted to a president behaving this way. Like those generations, that's just this stuff is unheard of.
It is unheard of. Well, Mark, it's embarrassing for this country, is what it is. People look at the country as a leader.
Yeah.
And just what we're seeing in Washington right now should to Americans be totally unacceptable.
Yeah. You mentioned SOBs. Before we go, let me just ask you this: as a military service member, are you offended by athletes, specifically NFL players, taking a knee with regards to police violence and what have you, and some of the racial incidents we've seen in this country, but particularly police violence? Are you offended as a veteran when NFL football players take a knee during the anthem?
You know, Mark, I think the first thing is to say that I've served in the United States Army, as have a lot of folks, to protect our freedoms, to protect our freedom of speech. And if people choose to protest in that manner, and certainly a peaceful manner, you know, that's what this country is all about. The other thing that I would say, I'm not walking in those shoes. I'm a white person. I went through public school. I was there, you know, during desegregation. My parents kept me in public schools, which I'm so glad they did. We're all in this together. But I'm not living in their shoes, and so I don't think it's fair for people to say, well, they shouldn't do that. Well, you might not say that they shouldn't, because you don't know what it's like for them. Yeah. You're not living in their world, and so you know, it gets to the point, Mark, where enough is enough. There's certainly implicit bias. The criminal justice system needs to be reformed, And so people have to do what they have to do to get attention and to protest, which you should be able to do in this country. So, so I accept what they're doing, and I would say, let's sit down and figure out how we can make it better so that they don't feel the need to do what they're doing. But that's their priority right now.
Yeah. Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam, the last day to register to vote in Virginia is October 16th. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Folks, that's an important day. October 16th is the anniversary of the Million Man March. If you are not registered to vote in Virginia, you need to be registered. If you have friends or family in Virginia, call them today. Make sure they're registered to vote. Their voter registration is up to date. Speaking of parents, it's also my late mother's birthday, October 16th. So that's a sacred day for me. Do it for me. Do it for all of us. Register to vote and then vote on election day for Ralph Northam for governor. I am endorsing his candidacy. I support him wholeheartedly. Every soul to the polls. The last time we won the gubernatorial race in Virginia and New Jersey in the same year was 2005. The very next year in 2006, we won the midterms. We got the Democrats got the midterms, won the midterms and got the House back. So Ralph Northam for governor. Register October 16th. Also, Lieutenant Governor, I think we want people to know, those of you who are in school, in college in Virginia, you may register to vote where you go to school, because that's where you living for the next 4 or 6 or 8 years, however long you're going to be in school. So you want things to be better for you where you live right now, correct, Lieutenant Governor?
Exactly. And if we don't vote, then we don't have any right to complain, and we just can't take any chances of what happened in 2016. So I encourage everybody to get out there and exercise their right to vote.
All right. You feeling confident the campaign going well?
Yes, sir. Going real well. We know we have the voters out there, but as you just said, we need to get them to the polls on election day. And
I'm sure you need some money. Where can people go to make donations?
If they go to virginiademocrats.org, that's our website. We're running a coordinated campaign. And I would say, too, also, Mark, we have a great Attorney General in Mark Herring. He's done courageous work in Virginia. And Justin Fairfax is a wonderful addition. He's running for Lieutenant Governor. Yes. He's a young African-American. He is a federal prosecutor. So we have a great ticket.
So Virginia Democrats, is it virginiademocrats.com or .org?
.org.
So, folks, you can see the whole ticket. Vote for the whole ticket. Give your money. Give generously, please, ma'am, please, sir. Don't forget, everybody knows got relatives in Virginia. Everybody has relatives in 2 states, Virginia, North Carolina. That's just how America works. So call everybody in Virginia. Say, you registered, you straight, everything good, you know your polling place. Get that straight by October 16th. Encourage them to do so, folks, urgently. And then every soul to the polls in November. Lieutenant Governor, such a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. We look forward to, I'm going to already project your victory. We're not going to take it for granted, though. We want people to get registered to vote. But we look forward to formally announcing your victory on election night, okay?
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you having me on today, and I appreciate what you're doing. You're touching a lot of lives, and we need to keep moving in the right direction.
God bless you, sir. Okay, we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Mark.
Take care now. The Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. We're continuing our coverage of what is going on in Vegas, what has happened,